How's it going, YouTube? Raj here. Hope all of you are well. I've been away for a few months and I thought it's about time for me to come back to YouTube and put out a video. So yeah, this is my fragrance collection video. As you can see, I've got all the bottles lined up here. And just before I get into it, just want to say thank you to the people who reached out to me on YouTube or Instagram, just checking in, finding out how I'm doing, finding out when I'm making a return. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, all is good with me. And yeah, just decided to take a little bit of a break. Sometimes you need that. I haven't really been watching any YouTube videos or fragrance related ones, but I'm back now. So let's just dive into this collection. There's probably around, I haven't counted, but probably around 30 bottles. There's one missing, Miller Harris Vetiver Insolent. I still have that one, but it's just not with me at the moment. And yeah, let's just get straight into it. So the first fragrance to show is from Zerjoff. This one is called Ambre Premiere. If you've watched my channel in the past, you probably would have heard the story about how I got this one. Basically, it was, let's just call it a Christmas gift. It was a nice little surprise that I got from Zerjoff when I made a purchase in their store. This bottle, to be precise. So this came as a really cool Christmas gift. Nice kind of sweet, slightly boozy amber. Has a slightly powdery touch to it. I really enjoy it. It was kind of off my radar. I wasn't really looking at this fragrance, thinking about it, or knew too much about it. So yeah, really happy to have this one in my collection. Next, a fragrance from Ramon Monegal. This one is called Guerlain, and I have recently reviewed this one. Beautiful bottle, really like the design here. It's like a fruity leather. I do find it quite smooth and I like it a lot. I really gave this one a high rating. Don't really know too much about other Ramon Monegal fragrances. I had a few samples here and there, but yeah, maybe I need to get back into it. Actually, I know they are putting out a lot of new stuff, or recently over the past few years. So yeah, the next one. This is a fragrance that I used to own when it was in a partially used bottle. Finished that one off and I decided to get the full one. Apart from MDCI's Chypre Palatin, so much going on in this fragrance. I kind of get like a boozy, orangey vibe, but also there's a lot of ambery sweetness in there. Dry, earthy accords, really, really well done. Bertrand Duchaufour made this one. If you're looking for a fragrance that has a lot of complexity, it has very bold, is quite unique to me. Check that one out. Prada Infusion Dries. There is also another one that is kind of marketed more towards men, I think, which it used to be called, I think I've got my facts right here, but it used to be called Infusion D'Homme and is now called like Infusion Cedar or something along those lines, which has a lot of similarities to this one. I think they're both great. I think it's crisp, it's clean, it's some people say it has a sort of feminine feel to it. I think it smells great on my skin. I don't have a problem with it. Fresh sheets, you know, yeah, just works really nicely on my skin. Going on to Egoiste from Chanel. By the way, this kind of first line going up to around here is fragrances where I only own one from the brand, and then I've kind of like put all the brands together, or houses, whatever you want to say. Chanel Egoiste, what a fantastic fragrance this one is. I used to own this one quite a few years ago. Couldn't really get into it in my sort of mid-20s, but now in my early 30s, this one just works so well. I think it has a very, very unique scent. I don't know of many other fragrances that smell like this. I like the kind of sweet, there's a kind of slightly floral edge to it, but also a woody side to it, a spicy side to it. It's really fantastic. I find it really works well when the weather is actually quite humid. But you know what, when it comes to weather and fragrances, do what you want, but I still think there are the best times to wear certain fragrances. One fragrance that's been in my collection for a very, very long time, and I kind of hadn't worn it for quite a few months. Now the weather is turned cold, it's becoming like cold and rainy. here in the UK, I've been wearing this one a lot over the past few weeks and I've been absolutely loving it. The boozy, spicy qualities in here is the best way of describing it, I would say. It just works so well on my skin. Yeah, it's fantastic. Really, really great fragrance from Bulgari. I've only got one fragrance from Parfum de Malle. This one is Herod. I actually rated this one a 10 out of 10. I did a video a few months ago where I showed all my fragrances that I had given a 10 to. So check it out if you haven't done so. Fantastic, yeah. I really like the kind of sweet. There's a sweet quality. There's a resinous feel in here. There's a dry tobacco feel in here, which is very, very nice. The only one I have from the brand, I would consider actually getting Carlisle. I really quite like that one. And there's a lot more from the house that I want to test out for sure. Alright, so moving on to this one. This one is a brand you don't really hear too much about. I don't even know if they're around, to be honest. This one is by the brand Fleur. This one is called Hepcat. It's kind of their interpretation of maybe like a dry, smoky oud vetiver fragrance. A bit of incense. Gets me a lot of compliments, this one, I have to say. I really enjoy this fragrance, especially in the cooler weather. It has a very masculine feel to it, which I quite like. It's quite bold at times, but also has a smoothness to it that I really appreciate. So a good fragrance for sure. Next up, this is a fragrance, so it's not going to come as any surprises to you guys. This is Boss Bottled. It's been around for years. You know, some people say maybe it's has a kind of generic feel to it. It does have that kind of locker room, changing room kind of vibe, but I do also like the woody sweetness, a little bit of spice, and actually I don't mind this fragrance. I actually like it, especially into the dry down. Having said that, it's not a fragrance I would buy with my own money. I got this gifted to me by Boss, so it's one of those where I'm actually happy to own and wear. I haven't worn it a huge amount, but I do wear it from time to time. But not a fragrance that I would buy. But you know what? A really good solid scent if you're looking to just get into fragrances. But there are so many new releases nowadays. Maybe this one has maybe had its time. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Okay, so moving on to a fragrance that is an oud-based fragrance. I mean, quite literally. It's got oud chips just floating around in the bottle, which is kind of... well, I find it a bit weird, to be honest. But this is from Abdul Samad Al Qureshi, called Kashab Al Oud. Not sure about the pronunciation there. Also known as Bois de Oud. I bought this one in Marrakesh, in Morocco. Kind of an impulse purchase. Slightly regret buying it, to be honest. But even though I do like the fragrance, it's just not quite my style. It has a kind of funky, boozy, ambery, sweet quality to it, which is nice at times, is a little bit odd at times. Yeah, impulse purchases are not something I like to do, but I gotta say, first of all, the bottle, pretty cool. I like the sharp edges here, and it's got a nice weight to it, so yeah, I mean, it looks nice, that's for sure. It does smell good though, at times, but yeah, not one I would repurchase. One I definitely would repurchase though is from Caron. This one is called The Third Man, or Le Troisième Homme in French. Very classic, gentlemanly fragrance, lavender and herbs. A little bit of citrus in there. Has a very sporty feel. I don't really like the name sport when it comes to fragrances. Doesn't really quite make any sense to me, but if I had to give a fragrance the sport in the title, this one really deserves it, you know. It kind of has a upscale feel to it, but also I think you can definitely wear it casually as well, and is nothing like a modern men's fragrance, but I definitely think is worth checking out. Maybe one of those that is a little bit under the radar. Good one, for sure. Yeah, if you've been following my channel over the years, you'll know that I'm a big fan of this one. This is from Zerjoff, 1861 Renaissance. I used to have this one in the old bottle, had to get it back into my collection. I just think it's beautiful. I think it's the best fresh fragrance I've ever smelled. It has a kind of, I've been wearing it, or during the summer I wore this one quite a bit, and it has a very creamy, floral, citrusy, kind of dry vetiver feel, sort of accords in it, which I really, really like. And I love the new bottle design. I actually prefer this shape. It's really cool. It's a great fragrance. Zerjoff know what they're doing when it comes to citruses and freshies, I think. No other fragrances from Zerjoff at the moment. I have owned a few over the years, but yeah, just one at the moment. I got a couple here from the brand Parfum de Nicolai, which is a brand that I really want to make an effort to explore a little bit more. This one is New York Intense. I've also got, let's pick it up. I've also got this decant here, which I actually got for free from them, which was a really nice touch when I made this purchase. This one is Patchouli Intense. I think that these fragrances from Nicolai have character. I think you can definitely smell the quality and the craftsmanship. They do come at a cost, but I wouldn't say they're outrageous in terms of prices. And yeah, I have a few other samples here and there. I want to get into them a little bit more and try out a lot more. I think there are probably a lot more gems in there which I haven't discovered yet. New York Intense, you know, real classy gentleman scent. I did a video a while ago, you know, top 5 fragrances for a gentleman. Pretty sure I had this one in the list. I'll have to go back and revisit it. It just has a lot of the qualities that I associate with a traditional men's cologne. Now, whatever that is to you, interpretations will be different. But yeah, this is something that I would have, you know, I feel like an older guy would wear. You can wear it as a young guy, but I just have that feeling in my head that, you know, a mature, you know, person who is a little bit more understated, but what doesn't want to smell like everyone around them, this kind of would go for this, you know. I've got a few fragrances here from Roja Dove. I've had a few over the years. I used to own this one in the Eau de Parfum version. This one is a Scandal Parfum Cologne. I think it smells pretty much identical to the old Eau de Parfum version. It's just a classy fragrance. It's got that greenness to it, that citrus, the uplifting quality. There is a, I would say a kind of a slightly earthy feel to this actually, but a fresh earthy feel, which I quite like. It's a very uplifting fragrance, works really well on my skin, and you know, they had a deal on during Christmas. You get this for free, which is a 7.5 ml atomizer of Creation E. Well, yeah, I mean, Creation E is one of the names, but it's Enigma here in the UK. So this is the Parfum Cologne version. Used to own this one in the Eau de Parfum, which I actually prefer. But this is, now that's discontinued, this is a nice in-between, you know, that older version and the very expensive Parfum version. You know, I'm not really going to be spending that type of money on fragrances, to be honest. And I've had a few from Roja Dove over the years. I've always actually really enjoyed their creations, but you know, they come at a very, very high cost, and I honestly don't really spend that type of money on fragrances nowadays anyway. Okay, so going on to now Frederic Malle. This one was, I think, the first one I owned from the brand, either this one or Muscat Ravageur. I remember trying this one after swimming, after work. I went swimming. Then there was a local store, not a local one, near to where I worked, called Liberty, quite a famous one actually here in London. And this is where I first really discovered the brand, let's say, properly. I love what Dominique Ropion is the perfumer here, as you can see. I love what he's done with this one, trying to replicate inspired by actually an old mouthwash that I think it was, well, Frederic Malle sort of had this, there was this mouthwash that exists or currently still exists, I think, and they kind of took elements from that to create this great scent. And yes, people say toothpaste and all that kind of stuff, but there's more to it than that. It has a medicinal feel, it has a kind of cold feel to it, but the minty qualities and the geranium come through really nicely. I wore this a lot over when we had a lot of hotter kind of weather in the summer. It works perfectly in that climate. Great scent. Dries Van Noten, you know, par Frederic Malle, sweet, kind of inspired by Belgian pastries, that kind of thing. Yeah, I think it worked really, really well. I think this is a great fragrance. It is slightly unusual, I would say. And to be honest, I haven't really worn it a huge amount since I've bought it. But yeah, I'm gonna make an effort actually now that we're coming into the winter, or we are in the autumn winter. Yeah, gonna definitely get into this one. It has a kind of buttery feel, which is, some people might find a bit strange, but actually I quite like. A couple of fragrances from Dior, from the Dior Homme range. We've got Dior en Intense and Dior en Parfum. I think so much has been said about these fragrances online, on YouTube. There's not much more I can really add. I just think they're great. I used to own Dior en Intense. Actually, I used to own both of these. And so I repurchased them. And I don't mind doing that, you know, selling a fragrance, getting it back into my collection, as long as it's not discontinued, you know. Then, yeah, no problem. So a couple of fragrances here from Amouage. These are really the only two that I felt like I would spend my money on, even though I do like other ones from the house. We've got Epic Man here on the right, and then Jubilation 25. They just work so well on my skin. I really love the complexity of these fragrances. I like that they're bold, and they sort of make a statement. If you're looking for a fragrance that does that job, definitely worth checking out. Epic Man does really well for me in terms of compliments, if that's something that you kind of want or you're interested in. Definitely works in my world anyway. Okay, so kind of got, yeah, okay. So here now we're moving on to Hermès. This one is Equipage. This one is Un Jardin sur le toit, a garden on the roof. Let's just put this one down for a second. I gave this one a 10 out of 10 because I think conceptually it does such a great job. And yeah, inspired by the rooftop garden at Hermès's Parisian headquarters. Jean-Claude Ellena is really a master when it comes to these types of curations, creating that fruity, grassy, floral fragrance. Works really, really well on my skin. I love this fragrance actually. And Equipage, you know, I used to own the geranium version of this. I feel like probably I prefer this one, to be honest. It is a classy, gentlemanly fragrance that has character. It lasts on my skin. It has a very professional feel to it. And it's just, you know, it's just quite classy. I think Hermès, especially in their men's range of fragrances, I think there is a lot of quality in there. And I've had, you know, this one, I have this one, I used to own Bel Ami. And to be honest, even though I'm not really in the mood to be buying fragrances, I haven't bought anything since, I think, May. I would, if I'm looking to get back into buying, I think I would have to get a few more from Hermès, maybe Rocabar, maybe get Bel Ami back in the collection, but I want to finish some bottles first. That's kind of the policy at the moment. Alright, so moving on to, let's start at this end. We've got a few from Tom Ford. This is Ombre Leather, Cafe Rose, and Tom Ford Noir. Tom Ford, for me, you know, is just one of the most, I would say probably one of the brands I would say in recent history to maybe have the most influence on the fragrance market, the niche market, you could say. Certainly is a brand that most of the time I would say knows its identity, knows what it wants to do and does it. So there are some hit or misses here and there, and yes, the prices are very, very high, but they have a real impact on me, and that's all I can really say. You know, I don't have to love all of them, I don't have to buy all of them, and I've had a few more than these over the years. In the private blend, you know, you've got Tobacco Vanille, and I had Oud Wood. But there is real character in a lot of their fragrances. Cafe Rose, for me, beautiful fragrance. Just has I'm trying to find what the best word to say. He knows his style, and I feel like Tom Ford does it really well in these more darker or noir fragrances, you could say. And I think that's where the brand really excels. So yeah, for sure, like Tom Ford, I'll always have a Tom Ford fragrance in my collection. Okay, so moving on to the last few fragrances from the house of Guerlain. I'll pick out a few, but I'll name all of them here. I've got Bois d'Harmonie from the La Matière collection, Aqua Allegoria Herbe Fresca from the Aqua Allegoria fragrance collection, Vetiver L'Instant de Guerlain Heritage or Heritage, the Eau de Parfum version, Cuir Beluga from the La Matière, and then we have Darby there in the top left. So let's pick a couple out. Let's see, this one. Yeah, this one, I've been wearing this over the past couple of days actually. Heritage or Heritage, the Eau de Parfum version. One thing I noticed about this one is that it's definitely become a lot more smoother as I guess oxygen gets into this fragrance, and it doesn't have that kind of bracing, strong slap on the face from the kind of typical aftershave that you might find, you know, that burn. It doesn't really have that anymore in an olfactory sense. I feel it has become a lot more smoother, and I really enjoy this fragrance. There's a great depth in it. It's spicy, it's dry, there's wonderful patchouli notes in here, very sharp citruses in the opening. Great scent, really love this one, and looking forward to wearing this one in the upcoming colder weather. What else is worth sort of picking out from this one? I think these two are classics, L'Instant and Vetiver. Very classy, I feel. And also, let's finish things off with Derby, and this one I gave a 10 out of 10. Bit of an expensive fragrance for sure, but you do get a lot of quality. Leather, forest floor notes is how they also describe it on the Guerlain website. I love also the fact that it has different nuances that develop over the course of the fragrance. So yeah, I mean, you can watch my review on this one if you want to check it out. So guys, that's my fragrance collection. I will leave a link down below to other collection videos I've done. There is a playlist, so check those ones out if you haven't done so already. And let me know your thoughts. What do you like in here? What do you dislike? How's your fragrance collection at the moment? How many bottles do you have? And yeah, it's good to be back. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Thanks for watching. Bye.